The Roman Empire and the Han Empire, these states existed at the same time. Both powers achieved absolute domination in their part of the world, and their military art still serves as a model for the modern army. Fate separated the mighty empires by thousands of kilometers. But what would history be like if their armies met each other on the battlefield? What was the Han army like? The Roman legion is a fairly well-known organization, but the Chinese army often remains on the sidelines of European media coverage. The Han has existed since 206 BC to 220 AD. Its state institutions formed the basis of all the following dynasties, and it is this period that is recognized as the beginning of the birth of the Chinese nation. The Han army was both professional and semi-professional, had uniform weapons and was recruited on the principles of universal military service. The recruitment age started at 20 years old. The term of compulsory service is 2 years. In the future, the soldier could continue to serve on the border in the ranks of the military colonists. These people received a land allotment and, in addition to service, were engaged in agriculture. It was a semi-professional army, most often consisting of the lower strata of the population. In a similar way, young men sought to escape poverty and hunger in the citizen. By the 1st century BC, the semi-professional army reached 150,000 soldiers. Professional army, 3 military associations, Northern, Southern, and Western, with a total strength of only 20,000 people. In wartime, the empire mobilized retired men aged 23 to 56. Due to mobilization, the Asian armies for a short time grew to 500 to 900,000 people. The most numerous branch of the army was the infantry. Light infantry had no armor, armed only with bows, crossbows, and spears. Heavy infantry, in addition to spears, could be armed with halberds, axes, and daggers. The sword could only be worn by officers. China attached great importance to the cavalry. By the 1st century there were 300,000 horses in government stables. The Han could not field such a large number of cavalry. However, it is obvious that, unlike Rome, China had a much larger number of mounted archers and heavy cavalry. The Chinese were very fond of throwing weapons. According to inventory lists, the Han had over 400,000 crossbows on its books. Weapons were made from mulberry wood and brass. From 140 paces, it pierced through the local wooden shields. In China, logistics and supply were well established. There were strictly defined norms for the amount of grain, salt, and fodder assigned to each soldier. As for ancient artillery, Chinese technology was in no way inferior to Roman. Whose army is stronger? If we evaluate the size of a professional army, then Rome has an indisputable advantage. By the 1st century, the empire had 100,000 legionnaires, and if necessary, could increase their number to 300,000 people. The legionnaire had a clear advantage in preparation. Recruits went through a rigorous physical selection and served from 15 to 25 years. At the same time, military service was voluntary and recognized as an honorary one. Unlike the Han, the ranks of the legion were replenished by the middle class of the population. In this respect, the Romans were more motivated, disciplined, and morally stable than the Chinese military colonists. It is worth noting the tactics and formation of tactical units. In Rome, they were more perfect. Chinese infantrymen were trained only in linear formations up to 5 rows deep. Under equal conditions, the Roman army will be significantly stronger than the Chinese. However, if we compare the resources and population of both empires, then China will have an advantage.